morning, bros. Or good afternoon, good evening. Who knows? Who knows where you are in the world tuning in to the Investing Bros? Regardless of where you are or when you're watching, I am very glad that you're tuning in. I'm T. Shroom, in for the Investing Bros. Today, we've got some juicy news. We do. But before we get into that, let's go ahead and check out the charts, because I'm asking the question, did you buy this juicy dip? I certainly did. I got in here into Chainlink, and I got into BitX, which is a double leveraged ETF, but you got to buy it on the stock market. You actually can't buy it. It's not a crypto. It's not a crypto at all. But those are the names that I bought into. Bought a little more Chainlink, bought a little bit more BitX, and of course I bought a little bit more Bitcoin. You would know about that if you were in our Discord. Guys, if you have not checked out our free Discord, there is a link for that down in the description below. And it is a lot of fun. And if you want to enter into the paid ladders, the paid channels on Discord, all you got to do is become a member here on YouTube, and you are granted access. So it's a lot of fun. We have a ton of fun in there for our silver and our gold members, and all of our members have a ton of fun, and they get a little bit of an insight onto what personal movements that Tim and I are making in crypto and on the finance side. So none of it's financial advice. It's all for educational purposes, just to kind of see what the mind of the bro is really up to. Well, let's take a look here at the charts and see exactly what kind of opportunities were presenting themselves, what kind of discounts were up on the table. Well, last night at 11 p.m., you were probably asleep, Eastern Standard Time. I know I was. I was asleep, right? But this is where limit orders do their work. Okay, Bitcoin's price got down to 34.7. You could have picked some up for yourself, or for Christmas is coming up, you could have picked it up for somebody else. But in any case, Bitcoin did get down pretty low. Now let's take a look at the 1 hour. And yes, precisely around 1300, so 1 a.m., you were actually going to be granted, 1300 on the 14th. That would have actually been 1 p.m. So that's a little confusing, but these charts can sometimes get confusing, the exact time. Either way, the prices were very low, and you had the opportunity to buy them. I want to know, tell me in the chat, did you buy them? Did you get in any one of these assets, these 24-hour traded assets known as cryptocurrencies? Were you able to get in and get a favorable price to be able to sell higher, hold? What you going to do? What you going to do with it? All right, let's take a look here at some other charts. That was Bitcoin on the 1 hour. Let's kind of just go through here and just kind of see what kind of prices we're rocking with. AVAX up 13.9% here at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Quant up 3.3, doing pretty well. Kaspa up 20%. Kaspa has broke 10 cents. So there we go. Kaspa pushing up to still not all-time highs quite yet. We are seeing now that it wicked up here to 11 cents almost. Very close to 11 cents, if not 11 cents here on MEXC exchange. I would say that's an all-time high for Kaspa. So that is awesome. That is really cool. Let's hear it for Kaspa, guys. If you have invested into this small cap, you are being well rewarded, as Kaspa pumps here in the morning, 20% to the upside. It looks like that rotation out of crypto, that profit taking we saw yesterday, profit taking in rotation into equities, is now over, or at least is taking a respite. Compound up 9.6%. Optimism Chain up 3.9%. Solana up 9.9%. Not a surprise there. Solana continues to show strength. Cardano not lacking at all, up 3.9% this morning, doing real well. Let's look at the biggies. Bitcoin up 1.7%, and ETH just beating it by a slim margin here. Just beating Bitcoin by a slim margin. ETH is up 1.84%. Let's take a look at old Ethereum. There it is, guys, on the 1 hour. Doing real well. It got down as low as 1935. So you could have picked up some good prices there all across the board on Ethereum. I chose to fill up my my Chainlink bags and also pick up a little more Bitcoin and BitX. So those were the major purchases I made yesterday. I didn't get them at those lows, I'll be honest with you, but I did get them markedly lower than what they've been trading at as they tickle the highs for the month. All right, guys, let's go ahead and check in on chat, and then we'll get into our news. It's going to be we'll have a bit of a heady moment here, meaning we'll get a little bit into the weeds of some different projects and how they're developing. GS said, smash the like on your way in, everyone. Absolutely. I'm glad I muted for that one. I had to sneeze really bad. Joe Nichols said, bought Caspa and Bitcoin. That's what I'm talking about. Getting in on those dips, baby. Eric Wallen said, Link and Casp, yes. So a lot of people picking up Caspa before this big pump to all-time highs. Very exciting. Dustin Singer said, T-Shroom, good morning, bro. Good morning to you. Dustin, hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing real well. I did a bunch, Army Piper said. LOL. So Army Piper, I expect nothing less. The Piper Sniper getting in there and buying the dip. Mr. J said, Marnin. And GS said, happy Wednesday. It's only Wednesday? It feels like later in the week to me, man. Crypto Burger said, Bitcoin and XRP. Okay, so picking up some XRP and Bitcoin there is Crypto Burger. And then the first chat said, happy Wednesday to you from Sovereign Tree. So that's pretty cool. I don't think I've read that name before. Sovereign Tree. I like that. So if I missed you, doesn't mean I love you. Just kidding. Doesn't mean I don't love you, I should say. Also, Tony Fuego said, finally catch a live. Caspa ripping it again. Was hoping to get more before the pump. Yeah, you got to get while the getting's good. Crypto Mini Bike said, good morning. And Henry Price, last one here, leverage trading at 100x because I need Cybertruck. No, bad. Do not leverage trade at 100x. That is very bad, Henry Pierce, setting a terrible example for the noobs coming into the space who are just hearing about crypto for the first time. We know you're kidding, probably, hopefully. But in any case, let's take another look at this Caspa chart, guys. This Caspa chart is getting out of control. I've got it here on the 1 day. It is pushing back up. It did not even come back and test the midline of the Bollinger Band here on the daily chart. But it is going back and testing the upper band. That upper band didn't even really have much time to correct and start to consolidate. It didn't at all, or compress. It just kept going. Pushing higher. Man, the green histograms here started to wane, as you can see, and then just got monstrously bigger as the night and as the minutes ticked by, as it were. Down here on the Ichimoku oscillator, you can see the bulls still have full control here on Caspa in 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. That has not changed. It did tick down a little bit. If you zoom in here on the Ichimoku, you can see that it has ticked down a little bit, but it's still well within this bullish zone of control. So very good movement from Caspa. Crypto Archie, I'm not going to be able to pull up the tweet fast enough, but Crypto Archie was saying, I don't know how he's sniffing out this data, but he was saying that a lot of Bitcoin maxis have actually been going and kind of checking out Caspa. It could be very interesting. I'm glad I got my bags in early. I wish I'd gotten them earlier, right? But you can never, you gotta be grateful for what you got, right? You have to have some of that maturity. We're going to be talking about maturity a lot more in this show. Ron Wilson said, where is everyone buying Caspa? Okay, great question. If you haven't bought Caspa, which right now, I would say these prices are pretty elevated. We did see a nice pullback in Caspa, right? Earlier this week and weekend, right? That would have probably been the time to buy, and there'll be more pullbacks. But a lot of people didn't know it was possible for Caspa to pull back. Where can you buy it? Uphold. And there is a link in the description for Uphold. When you use the link in our description of our video, neither of us get anything free, I don't think, but you do support the channel because if you use our link, we get a portion of the trading fees in the future. So, it's not a huge boost to the channel, but it does technically support us down the road. So, especially if you're if you're going to be doing a lot of trading, it would be very beneficial to use our link. But again, Uphold, the Uphold app is actually pretty good for crypto. I'm not going to lie. It's actually pretty decent. It's like basically a $1 fee for both ways for most swaps that you can imagine. So anyway, it's not the best app out there. I have my favorites, right? But I do think that Uphold is a good one, and it's one of the only places you can buy Caspa. There's some other places as well, and you can feel free to drop in the chat where you like to buy Caspa, but I get it on Uphold, and so does Crypto Chicken Salad, so it would appear. All right, let's keep moving here, guys. We've we've indulged in another glance here at the Caspa charts, and boy, they look beautiful. Caspa still surging up 20% this morning. Link up 7%. We didn't even look at the Chainlink charts. Let's take a look at those. Chainlink not getting as low as the midline of the Bollinger Band. Let's throw on some other indicators from Chart Prime here. It's kind of been trending in between ever since it went in pretty deep into this premium zone here on the daily chart from Chart Prime. You can see that it's trying to make a run back up to that. Guys, what I would say here is that yes, crypto is looking good this morning, especially Caspa, and across the board. I mean, there's a lot of names that are having big pops this morning, but the term dead cat bounce and bull trap comes to mind. So just be careful out there, guys. Definitely, this is not the time. Look, this is not, I'm going to get into more kind of zoomed out thoughts later in the show, but this is not the time to be investing more than you can afford to lose. For this moment right now, right, November 15th, this is a classic moment where people get over-invested because they think, oh man, I missed out. Oh, I've been looking at cars online. I'm going to be able to buy a car, right? This is not the time for that, guys, right now. Bitcoin is ultimately in a correction zone. Now, that doesn't mean to sell, right? I wouldn't be selling here, but if you look at Chainlink right now, what is the story right here? Okay, the story is up and to the right. Aggressively is important. Okay, these MACD lines have gone up aggressively and are in a very heightened state. Okay, what else do you see? On the Ichimoku oscillator, Chainlinks has left the bullish zone of control. Okay, that is key. That is key. Now that doesn't mean that Chainlink can't go higher from here. It absolutely can, especially indicated because it hasn't tested that midline of the Bollinger Band yet. Still pretty bullish in my mind. However, the overall move here is a general retest. Now this may be the lowest that we test. We may only close down here at 13.9 for Chainlink, and we just keep going higher for here. I would need some news for that, and I was obviously scanning the news this morning looking for stories, didn't see any, okay? There's nothing that's screaming to me higher. But I am not selling because the ETF could drop any day for Bitcoin, the spot ETF, and that is going to send prices higher, right? But I'm also not FOMOing in more than I can afford to lose. So hopefully this made sense. Hopefully this little monologue will save somebody a lot of pain and heartache. Let's move into the stories. I'm seeing a lot of action in the chat. Really appreciate you guys tuning in. If you're visiting us for the first time, make sure you continue to subscribe and keep tuning in. Also consider liking the video. I think that there's been enough value so far for you to go ahead and like this video. I think I would like it at this point. If I was watching myself, right? If I had a twin or a clone, I think I would like the video at this point. All right. Vitalik Buterin's recent blog post sparks controversy within the crypto Cardano community. Let's take a look here. If you guys are Cardano fans, this one is for you. I would not have brought this article into your consciousness here if I didn't know that we didn't have some big Cardano fans. So let's take a look here. Vitalik Buterin, maybe you've heard of him, co-founder of Ethereum, has once again captured the attention of the blockchain community with his recent blog post, breathing new life into Plasma. Yes, it's a scaling solution first introduced in 2017 and has largely been replaced by other technologies, I may note. And that's why this is kind of exciting, because he's breathing new life, creating new vision, right? Very Jordan Petersonian of him to be doing. Technological advancements, particularly in the realm of ZK snarks, a highly efficient form of cryptography, have paved the way for this resurgence. Again, referring to the old plasma technology that has for the most part kind of been left behind in terms of innovation. Now is being picked back up because of some breakthroughs. Buterin proposes extending this technology to the Ethereum virtual machine, the EVM, employing a parallel UTXO graph for ETH and ERC20 tokens. Okay, great. So that's the baseline for understanding here. Look, do I understand all of this terminology? I understand about 90% of it, and I expect that there's a good amount here that I'm just not. It's going to go over my head, right? Because this is getting into much more of the development side of crypto, which we have to be honest with ourselves. We have limited understandings. unless you have a good understanding, unless you're competitive and you're actually a dev. Okay, so just a little disclaimer there. Cardano community raises concern. The Cardano community has voiced apprehensions about Ethereum's direction. Community members accuse Ethereum of replicating ideas from Cardano's Hydra, a layer 2 scalability solution that seeks to enhance transaction speed and scalability on the Cardano network using state channels, a concept that bears similarities to Plasma. Okay, Charles Hoskinson even has openly accused Ethereum of replicating ideas pioneered by Cardano, adding fuel to the ongoing debate between the two blockchain platforms. So you tell me in the chat here and in the comments below, what do you think is going on here? Is this a massive injustice being perpetrated on the Cardano blockchain by Vitalik as he's proposing to basically institute what a lot of Cardano community members believe to be plagiarism, right? Plagiarism of a concept. Let me know. Let me know what you think. I think that we are in a Wild West industry, right? We're in a Wild West industry, and while it would be nice to try to develop these blockchain projects sovereign of each other, right, and not copy or and paste any of the technology or take, right, or steal the technology, it's Wild West, okay? And the extent to which these blockchains are patentable by U.S. law kind of goes against the whole concept of decentralized, permissionless software. So, that's kind of where my point of view falls. Maybe not falling as squarely with the Cardano community as one would like if you are a member of it. However, I would say that it's somewhat fair, right? And maybe you fast forward 10 years down the road, and this is a big problem, right? Where a bigger chain like Ethereum is stealing ideas from Cardano. A, that's an allegation. B, maybe there is a role for some kind of centralized, intellectual property adjudicator down the road. But for now, as far as I'm concerned, this is the Wild West, guys. This is the Wild West, and the decisions that you make, you need to make them very wisely and carefully. Along with these big projects, they have to make these decisions wisely and carefully because they have Wild West consequences, right? What do I mean by that? It means the law is on their hip, right? The law is not going to come in and say, hey, Vitalik, you're stealing intellectual property from Cardano. That's just not going to happen because who's saying that? Who's going to say that? Is it the Patent Office in the United States or the UK? No, that's not how this works, right? So there's going to be some development, and there's going to be, some lines drawn, and if that line is crossed, then the law is on your hip, right? That Cardano is going to have to take that into their own hands and try to enforce it. And if they can't, then that's the new standard. That's the new normal. Copying is okay, right? So we'll see how all this develops, but this certainly seemed like a pretty big development. I wanted to bring to the attention of all the Cardano bros that I know are in our community. Let's keep moving, though. Speaking of communities, here's a big one. Bloomberg analyst says someone is crapping their pants after fake BlackRock XRP ETF. Let me know if you're a member of the XRP army in the chat and in the comments below. Let's take a look here. Get into the details. Authorities appear intent on discovering how the bogus file ended up on the official state of Delaware website. I'm pretty intent on finding that as well. How the heck did they do that? Well, Delaware's Secretary of State's office, Ronnie, told Bloomberg Law that officials have referred the matter to the Department of Justice. So they're going to get down to the bottom of this if the Department of Justice chooses to take on the investigation. Eric Balkanis believes that whoever is behind the fake filing is already crapping their pants. Yeah, so this is the first note here for me, and there's the Twitter account for Eric Balkanis. This is the first note for me of immaturity, right? In the last memory of crypto here within the last couple days and weeks. So, is it immature to put out a fake filing on behalf of the world's largest bank to try to make a quick buck? Clearly, this was not a pump and dump, but this was manipulation, right? And it could have been anybody. It could have been anybody who had access to the state of Delaware's website to be able to put in a fake filing for an ETF, right? Yes, it's very immature. It's very immature to do that. You do see this, now I will say you do see this in traditional exchanges, in traditional markets like the New York Stock Exchange and, the London Exchange and things like that. You do see these moments of manipulation, but they're much more few and far between. Why? Because of enforcement, right? We've seen it with Elon Musk. Elon Musk is constantly in court, it seems, because of how much he's willing to push the boundaries, right? And how much the SEC is willing to take him into court, and different adjudicators bring him into the courtroom to try to tell him bad, right? So there are absolutely allegations of perpetrations against, of manipulation and things that maybe are not fair to the retail investor or the institutional investor. But here, this was a blatant one, right? And it's in crypto, where the enforcement is different. And the norm of an expectation of enforcement is different, right? Because we've had so much fake news recently, right? Someone posted, in recent memory, someone posted that that Roblox was going to be adopting XRP. What was the punishment for doing that? What was the punishment for publishing fake news about a major cryptocurrency like that and it getting circulated around the media? Well, it's not super clear how those cookies should crumble, right? Because it is 100% on, not 100%, I'm sorry, it's not 100%, but there is definitely blame to lay at the feet of, the Decrypts and the Cointelegraphs and the Coindesks of the world, right, who circulated that information. Where was the due diligence there? So there's nothing that can be done about it immediately, right? It has to be a norm and a maturity that enters the market. And clearly, we're seeing again and again notifications, seeing indications that maturity has not yet taken hold. There's still a lot of immaturity and folks who are willing to take massive risks that could land them in prison in order to manipulate price and make a quick buck. Well, perhaps this time, at least Eric Bulkanis thinks that this could potentially go all the way to a court, and someone's IP address may be identified as the one who made the filing with the Delaware Department of Justice. Certainly, you had to put somebody's human name on the filing for the ETF, some kind of agent of the actual entity who was filing. But maybe they put Larry Fink, and who knows. But that'll be interesting to see how that develops. On the surface. Deeper down, this is an indication again of the level of immaturity in the crypto markets that someone would be willing to do that. Yeah, it could have been the actions of one small group or even one individual, right? But that still sullies the whole space for the rest of us. Okay, so if you're thinking about doing that, don't. Right, and if you see that done, don't be all dramatic and praise it for sure, but don't make a big ruckus about it. Ultimately, well, I won't go there. All right, let's keep moving here, guys. Let's keep moving. Eric Bukanis, yes. So here he is. That's his Twitter. He seems to be a big figure here, especially in the ETF space. He absolutely has been bringing a lot of insights that folks have been taking very seriously. Well, speaking of people who are very serious, the SEC crows over impactful crypto enforcement actions in 2023. Let's take a look here at some of these details. The Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, today issued itself a report card of sorts, declaring that it had a highly productive and impactful year. Here's that report. You can go read it for yourself at sec.gov/news/press release. And, here's some of the highlights. Commission filed 784 enforcement actions, obtained orders for nearly $5 billion in financial remedies, and distributed nearly $1 billion in harmed investors to harmed investors. So they're trying to flex what they have been doing right, because Gary Gensler gets so much hate. In a lot of people's views, rightfully so. I definitely don't have a high opinion of Gary Gensler at this point, but he gets a lot of hate, right? The SEC gets a lot of hate, a lot of mud slung at it, and for mostly justified reasons, okay? So they're trying to come out on the good foot and give themselves a positive report card, but this comes on just before, I believe, Gary is actually set to go into Washington yet again for another hearing. And this one more than likely will be even more scathing than the last one, where a lot of insults and a few accusations and threats of subpoenas were levied against the chairman, Gary Gensler. So we shall see. We shall see what is going to happen at that. I will get you guys the date on Twitter of when that hearing is going to take place. That is a detail that has somehow slipped through the cracks here, but that's okay because we'll get that out on Twitter. But moving on here, onward and upward, let's take a look here at the next story, which is the one that we'll kind of land on here. Billionaire Frank McCourt says dodgy cryptocurrencies and silly NFTs has spoiled blockchain's narrative. So this is kind of, another note here of immaturity, right? A billionaire is trying to develop in the crypto space. And he's kind of calling out the dodgy cryptocurrencies. We all know them, right? Luna comes to mind, okay? FTT comes to mind. Okay. And then also the silly NFTs. Now, I don't fully agree with that one. I think that there are NFTs that are silly 100% and completely counterproductive to all technological development. But there's also plenty of NFTs that are not, that are great, that are going to be remembered as, the points in time, kind of a time capsule of this cultural moment that is the explosion of cryptocurrency. Okay. But this billionaire here, Frank McCourt, has a different opinion, right? He sees it in much more black and white, and someone who more than likely has a lot of experience in the markets. He's trying to make his opinion known to try to help mature the markets. Okay, but the way that this is all going to unfold is going to be somewhere in between, right? Because there is a place for NFTs and there is a place for meme coins, clearly, right? And they're not going anywhere. It's not like there's some enforcement that is going to be able to say no more NFTs, right? So there's got to be some kind of balance. There's got to be some kind of tomorrow that we're all working towards together. And I think that while we're not going to be able to control, and I don't think anyone should be able to control what kind of projects are developed, right? I do think that there could be a general sense of maturity, a general sense of responsibility and identity that is higher than what is there now, right? And part of it is because of the Wild West nature of crypto, that a lot of people are in it to make a buck, and that's acceptable. That's okay. We're in a money market after all. But there is a part that there's just a lot of immaturity. There's a lot of folks who are kind of in it for maybe not even to make a buck, right? But just to make a big loud crash, make a big explosion, make a big splash to get attention. And do you see that in the New York Stock Exchange? Absolutely, right? But you don't see it nearly as much as you see it in crypto. So that's kind of my thesis for today, is I'm seeing a lot of folks call out immaturity in the space, and I'm all for it. I would love to see crypto continue to mature, try to get more serious about this world that we're trying to fix, right? We're trying to fix a big problem with crypto. Crypto is aimed its giant weapon of encryption, right, and the internet, essentially, and the confluence of a lot of other technologies at a problem, right? And there's several problems, right? The biggest of which is fiat currency and its inability to be managed by a sovereign entity that doesn't seem to be interested in something other than the people that it is purported to be supporting with its monetary policy. So that is the problem. We're trying to fix the problem, but the solution cannot be a problem in and of itself. And the way that we solve this together and move forward with a more productive space is maturity. And there's been a manifesto actually written by that billionaire Frank McCourt, a manifesto from Project Liberty's founder Frank McCourt, a better web for a better tomorrow, a better world. I haven't read this. I don't know what it entails, but more than likely he's calling for maturity, right? There's a voice in the space trying to say, hey, look, things can be better than this. We don't need to have a meme coin every 5 seconds that people are getting sucked into and totally scammed by. I 100% agree with that sentiment. I think there is absolutely a place for meme coins, okay? I buy them sometimes, I trade them, right? There's fun to be had in this new technology of crypto, right? There's fun to be had, but where that fun crosses into immaturity and also affects people who are trying to make real investments, that's where I have a problem, and that's where serious players who are trying to look at crypto as the future, which it is, that's where they have a problem too. Now, don't feel guilty. No, more than likely, if you're watching this video, you have not been a part of any of this other than maybe just, a little bit of a funder as you're, funding and investing in these projects. So I'm not trying to make anybody feel guilty. All I'm trying to do is say that we're trying to move forward, right? We're about to get an ETF, right, which is the TradFi space saying, hey, this industry is greenlit. We're ready to integrate this into our old system. And that opens up a whole slew of doors as to whether or not we actually want that. But what it is doing and what it is saying is trying to backwards compatible an entire future for the present. A present that is sullied, that is filled with terrible problems that crypto is trying to solve. I've been T-Shroom in for the Investing Bros, and I'm going to be trying to be more mature today, right? I'm going to be trying to be more mature as we march into the future of what this solution to so many of the world's problems can be. But it needs to stand on its own sturdy ground. So thank you so much for watching and listening. We will be making much more content, so definitely stay subscribed and like this video if you got some value out of it. And let me know down in the comments, do you agree with me? Do you think that the space is already mature enough and it doesn't need to mature anymore? Or do you think that this space, the crypto space, has a long way to go, that Web3 is not where it needs to be yet? Let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots, stack bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros. Army pipe, lethal on trade. Entries and exits, worthy of praise. Tim, the professor, the TA. Shout it out loud on the PA. T-Shroom's news, got the word. Doing better than what he deserves. Beamer, leave no evidence. Soon fly coop with his dividend. Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots, stack bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros.
Investing bros. Investing bros. Investing bros. Investing bros. Investing bros.